Hello everyone, this is Mahadev the Thunder Wizard. Welcome back to the thunderwizard.com channel. So this is the solar flash update for September 19th, 2023. It is my opinion that there's been a massive shift just within the past day or two, perhaps getting us ready for the 9/23 event, assuming there is such a thing. There's a comet that is now visible in the sky. It is I believe it's called the Nishimura Comment. And I was specifically told in meditation a while ago to keep your eyes out for the comet. That's going to signal something coming very quickly. So we're going to take a look at that. I've also got a rune reading here for what's going on with the world. We'll take a look at that as well. But I want to, I just have this strong feeling just within the past 24 to 40, really 24 hours, I've felt a huge shift happen. And perhaps it's just me, or perhaps something else is going on. I had some dreams that I feel were significant. I'm not trying to say they're anything special. I don't think they were lucid dreams or anything like that. But I do think that it was my unconscious responding to something that has shifted. So before we get into that and talking about the Nishimura Comment and what I think that might indicate, and the consciousness shift and the way that it's expressing itself, before we get into that, let me just share with you what this channel is about. If you're new to this channel is not about you listening to me talk. Although if you want to come and listen to me talk, I'm happy to waste your time with my ranting if you wish. This channel is really about giving you practical tools to shift yourself. The one thing that has become absolutely incontrovertible is that in order for us, not only as a world, but as individuals, in order for us to make this shift, we must choose to shift. We must choose to change. The reality is that human beings in their third dimensional self do not have the ability to change. That's why if in your life nothing's ever changed, everything's always been this way, you have a problem with money, you have a problem with health, you have a problem with relationships, whatever your issues are that you can't seem to get rid of, it's because it's not your fault. You don't have the tools, because in the third dimension, you are merely a third dimensional projection of a higher dimensional energy. So we get trapped in this projection that we're in, and we try and use three-dimensional tools, and it won't work. So what I do is I provide you with various technologies, spiritual technologies, very simple in many cases, but extremely powerful. And if you apply them with the intent of shifting your consciousness, your life, your psyche, in my experience, you can do it if you do these practices on a regular, consistent basis. So be sure you go to my thunderwizard.com YouTube page, the channel page. It's free. Just put in Thunder Wizard in YouTube. You'll see my channel page. And then go to the playlists, and there are free interdimensional meditations, and I recommend that you do those. There are free energy practices. There is the Huul breath, Huul breath. You can Google that. The Huar breath, the Awakening the Immortals. These are incredibly powerful. You'll find those in the playlist on my channel. If you're serious about shifting, like you don't want to screw around, you really want this, I have synthesized the most powerful energy meditation practice in history. I guarantee you will not find these things anywhere else. Go here to thunderwizard.com. Subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. You got nothing to lose. It's incredibly inexpensive. I would be well within my rights to charge thousands of dollars for these practices. And until the 23rd, we have 923.thunderwizard.com, where I'm giving away all of my paid videos and courses for almost nothing. And if we survive the 23rd, I will get rid of it. We'll go back to normal. But until then, take advantage of that. And of course, my books, michaelwilliamdenny.com, Interdimensional Revolution, Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth, and the most important book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. If you master what's in that book, I guarantee you that when we get to a 5D reality, people will be doing this intuitively. So if you want to make sure you get there, that is one way to do it. Because again, the universe will not allow anybody to get away with, I can't, it's too hard, it's too confused, I'm too frightened. You won't be able to get away with that anymore. The universe is, we're shifting up, and if you want to come, you can, but you're going to have to shift. And that means you're going to have to take a look at yourself. You're going to have to be willing to take actions that are frightening or inconvenient, and you're going to need power to do that. In order to do that, the easiest way I've found is to do just simple physical exercises, which shifts the energy up and gives you power you didn't have before. So take use of all of the things available to you on the channel. All right, so massive consciousness shift before 9/23. So I don't know if 9/23, if something's going to happen or not. People have been talking about it. Hollywood has been talking about 9/23 being the end of the world for decades. I mean, just about every thriller movie or end of the world movie, you will see the numbers 9/23. In some cases, they'll come out right out and say September 23rd. And that is because, as you know, Hollywood is in fact run by the elites. And there is a small group of elites. It's completely beyond what I would have expected to be even close to be true. But it turns out they're very superstitious. They have their own religion, their own cult, and they have used technologies that have allowed them to look into potential future timelines. Now, this hasn't been from their consciousness. It's been from a technological standpoint, which means they don't know the meanings of it. They don't understand. They look at it as, how can they control the world? What can they do? What kind of things can they introduce into society that will give them control? And when they do it, they find that somewhere around 9/23, something happens that destroys their world, which is their ability to continue to control you. And so this is why it comes up in videos, in movies. Now, even if that weren't true, because they're human beings and they're psychopathic bonkers nuts, there is a very powerful shift that is predicted to happen based on Vedic astrology. In fact, there is an alignment of planets that has never happened before in the history of the United States. So there might be something along those lines. Some people have concluded that, some astrologers have concluded that it's going to be a financial meltdown, maybe the U.S. economy tanking. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I'm getting the feeling that something else is going on. I'm getting the feeling that behind the scenes in Congress, that there's enough elected Congress officials who are realizing that they don't have any power. Now, I'm not here, I'm sure there are some good people in government who don't know any better. These are, usually people who try and do their best, but they can't seem to get anywhere. I believe that most presidents probably, I'm sure it's a sliding scale of corruption, but I think there are some presidents that get in with a desire to do the right thing. But once they get in there, they find out that they don't have any power. They, end up having to go along with the deep state, or, you end up like President Kennedy. Both of the Kennedys, by the way, both of the Kennedys, the main reason they were taken out wasn't because of the Vietnam War. It was because they knew about the secret military UFO construction program that was going on, and they were going to reveal that. That's also why Marilyn Monroe died, and that's also why, I forget the journalist, the female journalist that was going to interview Marilyn Monroe, they were all taken out. And it's because Marilyn Monroe, because she was, as you know, she was sleeping around with both the Kennedy brothers. They had told her that there was this secret UFO construction program. And unfortunately, she was not a very stable woman. And when they rejected her, because eventually that was going to happen, she got very hurt, and she threatened to go to a journalist and have an article written about the secret space program. And guess what happened? She committed suicide. And that was the reason both of the Kennedys were taken out. Maybe you didn't know that. What I think is going on is that I think that there is now, probably as a direct result of Dr. Stephen Greer's work with Congress, I believe that there's enough people there that they are getting ready to take control back. Now, the reason why this is important is because the government that you see, there's a reason why it's called the deep state. The government that you see, the elected officials, the presidents, they only have so much power to affect things. As we've already talked about, the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States is not owned by the United States government. The United States government doesn't have any money. Its money is lent to it from a private bank called the United States Federal Reserve. From the moment that money is printed, it has a debt attached to it, which the government must pay back. And then once it goes into the economy, then there's more debt attached to it. It's just a horrific, never-ending black hole of debt and debt slavery. Those people have far more control than any elected officials, because where do elected officials get the money for their campaigns? They get it from where? Hefty donors that are in big pharma, big tech. Really the biggest money is in the military technology sectors, the military industrial complex, as it was originally called. These people have all the money. And the petroleum companies, they have all the money. Those are the people running the deep state. Big media, big tech, big oil, and banks. Really, it's all about banks. This whole thing is about money and power. And so when you have enough people in Congress who realize that they don't have any power, when you have, 4-star generals who come to realize that they don't have the ability to go and shut down military projects, they're not even read into it. They're not even allowed to know the details. 4-star generals aren't allowed to know the details of military programs that are being run by the private, the private military industrial sector. When enough of those people are willing to come together, and the deep state can't threaten all of them. They don't have the ability to threaten every single senator, every single general, every single elected official. They don't have the power to do that. And so when there's enough people, which is probably what's happening, there's probably, I'm going to say potentially a revolution going on behind the scenes. We're never going to see it. They're not bringing it out into the light of day, and we're not going to see it in the mainstream media because those same people own the same bankers own the media. But when there's enough pressure that they're going to, they might have to, guns are going to be drawn, and our own army is going to go and invade our own military installations. When that pressure is on, there's a possibility they might capitulate. I think something like that might be going on. I don't know this for a fact. I don't have any proof for it. You can, believe it or not believe it. I'm not attached to it. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but I have the feeling something like that is going on. And I have a feeling that something just recently over the past 24 hours has shifted in that way. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about. And of course, this is in alignment with the massive consciousness shift. As I understand it, we're under a hefty solar storm that is hitting Earth. Now, yesterday for me was actually my birthday, because even though it's the 19th here where I'm at, it's actually the 18th in the United States where I was born. So the 18th here was, yesterday was the 17th, was my actual birthday. And I had a very challenging day. It was a very, very difficult day. I mean, we could look at it, I'm turning 60, now it's, I can't even really say I'm middle-aged anymore. Another 5 years, this is just, it's, I'm now an elder in society, whether I like it or not. So that's a challenging thing to go through. I don't have a lot of contacts. I don't have a lot of friends. So, I didn't have any kind of celebration. So it was a tough birthday. But astrologically, it was also very significant, because it turns out that my sun in my chart actually went to the exact same spot that it was in when I was born. And if you know anything about astrology, if you have your sun in 0 degrees, when it's shifting signs, it was shifting from Leo to Virgo, and it's at 0 degrees. This is a curse, which is called Sankranti Dosha, which is the anger of the sun. And it means that the sun doesn't have the ability to give light and power to you. Your soul, your strength, all the stuff associated with the soul. So I felt really horrible all day. I mean, it was an emotional wreck. I just stayed at home and napped, and I just didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything. And as soon as that it shifted out of that, all of a sudden I started feeling better. So who knows? Maybe it was psychosomatic. Maybe there was an astrological thing to it. But I felt a huge shift after that, and I believe it wasn't just me that shifted. I think there were other things that were happening. I think that there was a pivotal point that we moved beyond. So I'll be very interested to see if anything happens on the 23rd, between the 22nd and the 25th. If anything happens along those lines, I'll be very interested to see, and I will be very interested, and I'm hoping that it's going to be something positive. Because, there's really only 2 ways this shift is going to go. A shift is coming. The world is going to change. Even, if we take out the whole solar flash thing, which again is hard to imagine, even if we take all of that stuff out, the way things are going, there is no way the world can continue the way that it is. There's just no way. Just no way. And we're seeing how desperate they are. With this most recent attack on what's his name, Russell Brand. I was shocked that. I just found it very suspicious that somebody who's been very effectively exposing corruption in the media and in big pharma and in government, that the media comes after him and accuses him of these things. And the worst part is they then hired actors to act out these supposed confessions of these people we don't know. They're anonymous, and they hired actors, and then they filmed it. They filmed actors pretending to talk about the horrible experiences they went through with him. And I thought, there was a point when news channels used to be about news, and it's just so obvious that it's a hit job. It's just so obvious. It's a cancel hit job on somebody who's exposing corruption in the elite structure. And I'll be very surprised if anybody takes it seriously. Anyway, but it just shows how really, really desperate the elites are. They know, they're grasping at straws, and this is when a caged animal is the most dangerous, when they're up against a wall and they have nothing to lose. This is the time that they're the most dangerous. So the comet that's coming, the Nishimura Comment, it's not huge, it's not going to be anything, you won't go out at night and the sky's going to be filled with a huge comet. That's not happening. You have to get out some binoculars or something like that to see it. Excuse me. But I do think these things are significant. And I remember being told, had to have been probably a month ago, in meditation, my ET friends, because I was asking them, when is this shift happening? I'm still trying to understand this. Can you show me what's it going to look like? What's going to happen? And one of the things that the messages I got was, keep your eye out for the comet. There's going to be a comet. So maybe this is it. But it's coming right around this time. These are all happening together, coincidentally. And even that, I think there's power behind expectation. So even if there's nothing to it, the fact that Hollywood has been saying the 23rd is going to be the end of the world for decades, the fact that Christians believe that that's when the rapture is going to come, and they've taken some passage. This is actually quite interesting. They've taken some passage out of Revelation, and there's this description that if you apply it astrologically, it is happening right now. The virgin crowned by 12 stars, it's giving birth, and et cetera, et cetera. All of these things, the comet and the placement of the stars seems to be lining up with that. And I'm not into that anymore. I don't believe that, but I believe that you've got a bunch of people, a bunch of human beings who watch videos who think there's something happening with 923. You've got the elites who believe that the end of the world is coming at 923. You've got religious people who believe that the second coming of Jesus and the rapture is going to come around 923. All of that energy going towards that date is going to have some effect on it. I don't know. I'm happy to be wrong. We've been wrong about a lot of things. We were wrong about the harmonic convergence way back in 1987, and yet when we look back, in hindsight, that was the beginning of a shift. We were wrong about 2012. The Mayan apocalypse, which really wasn't an apocalypse. The Mayan prophecy said that on December 21st, 2012, that our planet was going to go through a black hole and end up somewhere else. Our planet and our sun. And if you know anything about the Mandela effect, about the movement of planet Earth, I'm old enough to remember that planet Earth used to be, you could go to school and read it in books and hear it on videos about the placement of the planet. They would tell you that planet Earth was situated in the very, very outside part of our galaxy, and it was in the Sagittarius arm, the very outside part of the Sagittarius arm. There used to be posters that were made that said, "You are here," and it would point to the very, very outside edge of the galaxy in the Sagittarius arm. Sometime after 2012, that changed. The official, and it's not because some scientist said, "Ooh, we forgot, we were wrong, the Earth is actually here." No, just everything, the history around it changed. There's still videos, if you look for it, I've made videos about it, of, what's his name, Tyson, the astronomer. He says, somebody says, where is Earth? And, they were trying to be cute, and he says, it's in the Sagittarius arm. So 2012 was right. We didn't know it at the time. We didn't sense anything. We didn't feel anything. The world didn't come to an end. But everything that the Mayan calendar said was going to happen, happened. That the world was, that age was going to end and a new age was going to begin. And there was going to be that the Earth and the sun, and as it turns out, all of the stars in our visual field all moved. And now they're all in they're now halfway into the galaxy in the Orion arm of the galaxy, which, it's 73 light years, I don't know, light years away. It traveled, didn't travel a few hundred miles, traveled at least 73 or 73,000 light years, something like that. Huge, just crazy in the blink of an eye. That's what the Mayans were talking about. You have Project Looking Glass, which, as we understand it, Project Looking Glass is that technology I was telling you about, where the deep state elites look to see what they can do to create a timeline which will be most favorable to them. What wars can they start, what other disasters they can create in order to give them the most power. And they found that sometime after 2012, everything shifted, and there was a point after that where they couldn't get any information and they lost all of their power. So all of these things, we look back in hindsight, turned out to be wrong, and yet when we look at them, we realize there was something to it. So what does all this mean? I don't know. I believe that I've been told that there's a thing called the solar flash by my extraterrestrial friends. I don't know what the heck that means. They're telling me, whenever I can get a beat on them and connect to them, they're telling me that I'm not going to be on this planet much longer, which I assume to mean everybody that's working towards empowering themselves will have an opportunity to not be on this planet. I don't know what that means. Is that literal? Is that going to be, are we going to look back in 5 years and realize that we're in a completely different galaxy? I mean, what it could mean anything. I'm not attached to any of it. But something is happening. No two ways about it. Absolutely no two ways about it. And as I'm sitting here, I'm getting flooded with energy, and I take that as a sign that I'm on the right track. So let's see. Anything else? Any other news? I can't think of any other news. Other than to repeat, I can't stress this enough. It is the most important thing that I could ever say, which is, it is extremely important that you be willing to change. That you be willing to change in such a way that you only live for those things that feed your soul. You must face your own narrative attachment, your addiction to the third dimension, which is really just codependence. We live in a codependent society. By the way, narcissists are codependent as well. The victims of narcissistic abusers are codependents. Codependence, people get confused because the word dependent is in there, and nobody likes to believe that they're dependent or weak. But that's not what that word means. The definition for codependence, the best definition that I use, is that a codependent person is somebody who gets their value, their sense of worth, their relevance, and their feeling of being lovable, acceptable from something outside of you. Based on what you do for a living, how much money you have, what you look like, how much power you have. You think about anything. You think about anybody that does anything for those reasons. People who become really famous. Well, they're going to be famous based on, I could name a few, I'm not going to, but look at the female celebrities, especially people in the music industry. Remember people who were in the 80s and the 90s, women who were really popular and also happened to have, follow the standard of beauty that, society had at that time. You look at them now, they're now middle-aged or more, and they look like they look horrible. And it's because they're trying to, they're going and getting all kinds of surgeries on their face. They're trying to make themselves stay young because that's their value. It's sad that people can't get old and do it with grace and dignity, and be proud of their achievements. So that's codependence right there. People who are powerful, very, very powerful people. Dictators are codependents because if they can't control you, they don't believe they have any worth. They get their worth and their value based on if they can force you to, worship them, give them money, whatever it is. So if you get your value, a lot of people get their value out of being spiritual. A lot of people believe that their value comes from not having any hate in their heart, not having any darkness. Everything is love and light. This is where we get virtue signaling. This is why we get, people, on dating profiles who say, I got the jab, thank you, science. They have to put that on there to virtue signal to you that they're part of the narrative. That's where they get their value, from being accepted in the narrative. I do what everybody tells me to do. I'm part, don't kick me out. So you're going to have to face that. Not quitting that job you can't stand because you're afraid you won't have any money. That's codependent because you don't trust the universe to take care of you. Not starting that business you've always wanted to start. Not following that passionate dream. I have the most sad experience I ever had with a client that came to me for career consultation, and I have, if you go to career.thunderwizard.com, I've got a service there where if you talk to me within an hour, I guarantee I will help you find your soul desire. Now, I'm not the one that finds it. I just know how to ask you the right questions and you come up with it. But what's interesting is that many people, if not most people, when they become aware of what it is they truly want to do in life that gives them the greatest joy, they talk themselves out of it. And there was this woman who came and had a session with me, and what she wanted me to tell her was that what she should be doing is she should be doing internet search engine optimization, that's really where the money is. And she thought, if I do this on the side, she thinks it's easy money. She'll make a lot of money fast without a lot of work. By the way, that never happens. You find that out if you do Amway. If you do any kind of multi-level marketing, when they tell you, oh, you're just a few hours a week, and just get a couple people underneath you, and you find out, the people who make money in that, they're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's the hardest job you could ever find. And then most people don't make anything. They work their ass off. So she had this idea that she was going to do internet search engine optimization, and she was going to get rich. And then with all that spare time, she was then going to do what she wanted to do. And I said, that's not how it works. The universe doesn't work like that. But the fact that she thought that, and she's not alone. Everybody, including myself, I've had that thought as well. People believe that the universe won't take care of you. And they have to have a job. They'll say, well, I'd love to do what my passion is, but I need the money first. The assumption of that is the The universe isn't going to give me the money. I have to do some stupid job that I can't stand in order to get money from other humans to be able to function. And then I can do what I want, but that's just stupid. I'm just being selfish. The universe doesn't want me doing what I want. The universe wants me to carry my cross and be a good little worker that's codependent. To say, I would love to do what I want, but I need the money first. I would love to do what I want to do, but I have to work this job. That's codependence. And it is, you're telling the universe, screw you, universe, I don't trust you, you're not going to take care of me. You're also telling yourself that you don't have any value, that you don't have any worth, that your existence isn't enough to allow you to exist. And you believe that your value comes from getting approval from corporations and businesses, which is where you go to work to get your money. Money is nothing more than approval. You guys see that? Money means it's a symbol you're approved by the society you live in. It's completely divorced from the universe that says, I provide you with all of the resources. If that means money, we'll get you money. If that means, living in a house for free or getting, access to food, or, there are plenty of people that don't have any money and they're rich. They've got all the time in the world. They've got all the food. They've got the housing, everything they want. And then there are people who work their asses off and they don't have anything. They don't have health. They don't have peace of mind. And whatever money they make goes off to pay for nonsense. So a codependent person is somebody who gets their value from anything other than the fact that they exist. Your value is because you are a conscious spiritual being, and you must operate from that. So this shift is about coming to that awareness and then acting on that. If you truly believe that your value in this universe comes from the fact that you are a spiritual being that exists, and that it is your God-given commandment to go and fulfill your own happiness. If you don't have that understanding, you are a codependent. And codependents are going to have a hard time shifting up, whether they be narcissists or whether they be victims. They're both codependents. So I'm encouraging you to take the action that goes against all of your instincts that tell you to debase and devalue yourself in the hopes of getting approval, which means money. And instead, go after your soul and be willing to take the risk. And when you take action, sharing with the world the beauty inside of your soul and making yourself happy, the universe must. It must take care of you, because you are more valuable than any external universal structure. You're more valuable than the Matrix. The Matrix is here to serve you. And if my experiences and the beliefs of others are right, this next shift, there will be no money, there will be no banks, there will be no social credit score system, there will be none of that. And you will be motivated to simply live for the bliss of your own conscious soul. And that's what life will be like. All right, so I'm done preaching. I'm done. I don't take any questions again, unless you happen to be subscribed to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. And again, I cover up the chat so I don't get distracted. But I don't recommend that you come into this asking me a question. You should wait until you've listened to me talk before you ask a question, because you can't be writing down a question and listening to me at the same time. And anyway, it shows that people who do that, it shows to me that they're stuck in their head. All right, so let me see. Is there anybody here? Lightbringer, I believe, is subscribed. It says, is it best to do energy work outside? Well, you're asked, that question really isn't a question. You sort of have this idea. Have I said anything to that? I mean, if you're subscribed, the answer to your question is, I would have already said something. If I said it was best to do it inside or outside, I would have told you. So my suggestion is to go back. If I didn't give you any specific instructions, then do what you want. The idea of best. One of the questions I get a lot from newbies is, I want to know the best practice, which is the most powerful. This is a very superficial, immature question. This is what little kids ask. And the truth is, the best and the most powerful is the one that you like the most. So best, I don't know, you tell me. Which feels best to you? Listen to your own experience. Follow my instructions as best as you can. And if I don't give any specific instructions, it means you're free to experiment and find out for yourself. So I recommend that you do that. What else? Anything else? Nothing else. All right. Thanks for the question. I hope that was helpful for you. That's it, guys. Something's up. By the way, thank you to everybody who sent me a happy birthday text. I appreciate that very much. It was nice to read those. I really needed it. I was having a tough day. So it was very good to read those, all of those, and hopefully I responded to everybody. And if I didn't, don't take it personally. I'm sure I saw your well-wishings regardless. All right, nothing else. We're all done. Thundra says that northern lights are in the sky tonight, so there's obviously something going on. I do feel a lot of energy. And I'm going to go do some interdimensional meditation, and we'll find out what's going to happen from that. Okay, guys, that's it. All of these links are here. I recommend you check them out for your own empowerment. And if the solar flash don't come, or I don't get beamed up onto the Starship Enterprise, I will see you guys all very soon. I love you all. Thank you for showing up. I'll see you soon. Oh, I guess we didn't talk about the runes. I'll make another video where we'll talk about the runes that I took for today. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you. I love you. See you next time.